Oh man, this is an emergency video. Canada caves. They just U-turned on their tariffs. Is this now permission for the markets to pump? This is a major update in the tariff war between Trump, Canada, Mexico, China. We've got a breakthrough and it's come pretty quickly. You could see yesterday the markets were starting to squeeze. Even today, it was a tough start to the US markets. But now we're starting to see Bitcoin and markets climb on this news. Let's quickly go through this breaking news. Literally a couple of minutes ago here, Ontario suspends electricity surcharge after US Commerce Secretary agrees to talks. So Ontario will suspend its 25% surcharge. Again, the end of the surcharge, which prompted, by the way, Donald Trump to double his administration's tariff on Canadian metal imports and threaten even harsher measures, was announced in a joint statement from Ontario Premier Doug Ford and US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Ford imposed the tax last week in retaliation for the 25% tariffs Trump levied on Canadian goods. Remember, Trump said, look, we're going to do tariffs, they're going to do them back, and we're going to retaliate to any retaliation, right? Which is why you got Trump this morning, or was it last night, increasing the tariffs. This is good news, though. You're starting to see remnants here. You're seeing Bitcoin with a strong, powerful hourly candle up 2.4%. We're close to 6% up on the day here at 83,000. Not bad at all. This is the crazy thing, right? Yes, people are worried about a recession and things like that, but this is all led by this tariff stuff. If the tariff stuff gets resolved, if countries like Canada cave and Trump gets his way and we start moving away from the tariffs back to normal markets, there's no underlying health issue with this market right now, and that's the reason we can start to see that we'll start to climb again. So it's very interesting. We spoke about this in today's video as well. There's no guarantees on the direction we're going here. If the tariff situation, just like now, fixes itself, we'll moon. It's not about crypto-specific news. You can get any crypto-specific news you want. Like we've had the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, we've had all this stuff. This is bigger than that, unfortunately. This is global economics. And if this tariff war continues, we will see pain. If it gets resolved, you can very quickly see a V-shaped recovery here. Not just in Bitcoin, but in the traditional markets as well. Let's quickly jump on over into the SPY, which is the S&P. You can see it's kind of flat today. NASDAQ trying to gain about 1% here, which is interesting. So we're going to keep a close eye on this. Again, don't be surprised to see this whipsaw back and forth. This is the volatility in the market. We spoke about this to do with the tariffs. Trump's got to break the back, right? That's what he's going to want to do. He's going to want to win his negotiation. No matter how firm he needs to be, this is what he wants. He wants them to cave in and understand that, look, you can play this game if you want to. We're just going to keep retaliating to your retaliation, and you can't beat us. That's the game he's playing. Hold up. Are you tired of worrying about the security of your cryptocurrency transactions? In this crazy world that is crypto, protecting and preserving our digital assets is everything. And for that reason, I partnered with NordVPN, the best VPN service for crypto traders. With NordVPN, you can be sure that your online transactions are completely secure and your identity is hidden from prying eyes. Their military-grade encryption technology makes sure that no one can access your data, even on public Wi-Fi networks, so you can trade with complete peace of mind anywhere, anytime. Guys, seriously, don't risk your hard-earned crypto and NFTs for the price of a coffee each month. They've also offered a free month. Oh, and they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. Guys, seriously, it's a small price to play for a rapid, safe VPN. Definitely check it out. Link is in the description. Ijaz.uk/NordVPN. And let's get back into this video. You can call it brinksmanship. You can call it statesmanship. You can call it business negotiations. At the end of the day, our job as investors is to navigate that. Right now, what that means for us is volatility, right? We don't know whether to look left. We don't know whether to look right. And that is why my game plan is very, very simple. If I see a price I like, I'm nibble buying. I'm not catching falling knives. I'm not throwing all of my cash in at one price because we don't know how much lower we can go. And we never know if little bounces like this can just come back with more red in the morning because something again escalates to do with the tariffs or something like that, okay? So far, we're seeing a little bit of positivity in the last few hours. You also had Saudi Arabia being a bit of a mediator between the US and Ukraine. I read that the US are now gonna start giving the intelligence back to Ukraine, which they paused last week. So that's, I guess, a positive step for that global issue. Also, like I said here, Canada starting to give in on some of these tariffs as well. Let's read the wider statement here. Today, United States Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick and Premier of Ontario Doug Ford had a productive conversation about the economic relationship between the United States and Canada. Let's just start off with that. this is a positive that they're discussing it, right? They're not being kids. They're not having a Cold War and just kind of, because look, they could be annoyed, right? Particularly on the Canada side. They could be like, we're not talking to you. You've done this. We've retaliated, and just have a grudge, right? And then Trump would have retaliated to the retaliation, and we'll just be stuck here with our assets going to the downside. Secretary Lutnick agreed to officially meet with Premier Ford in Washington on Thursday, which is 2 days from now, March 13th, alongside the United States Trade Representative to discuss a renewed USMCA ahead of the April 2nd reciprocal tariff deadline. In response, Ontario agreed to suspend its 25% surcharge on exports of electricity to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. Okay, so it's good, right? Now, does it mean we're out of this and off we go? No. It's not that easy, guys. We're going to whipsaw back and forth. And who does that volatility pay favor towards? Market makers. If you're sat there with leverage trades going long, then going short with leverage and going long, they're going to wreck you. All I'm doing right now in this crazy market is buying spot. If I see a price I like on Bitcoin or any of my favorite altcoins, I'm nibbling. I'm not throwing the boat behind it. I'm just nibbling. If when it gets juicy, like Bitcoin was at 78, just a little nibble, right? Look at my favorite altcoins. Are those prices I like? Do I need more in my portfolio? Have a little nibble, right? But one thing I want to remind you of, once this stuff gets sorted, you best believe there's going to be an explosive move. I mean, this is a taster for you, right? That's just based on that slight suspension on the tariff situation, and Bitcoin is up 6%, right? BitGet token is up 7%, right? You've got Sonic up 4%. You've got Trump coin moving 5%. Ethereum moving close to 5%. Griffin up 7%. Total market cap just generally up 5% today, which means, another $136 billion of money has flowed into crypto today. So the money will come back quite quickly when we have some certainty. And that's not just for Bitcoin. That's the wider market as well. That's global markets, okay? This whole panic is around this tariff stuff. Let's check in here on the S&P, the latest. The market swung between gains and losses on Tuesday after President Donald Trump placed additional tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminium. That's what we're just discussing, right? So Trump went first, Canada did theirs, then Trump did this to go even further, and now Canada saying we're gonna suspend that. Chill out, we're gonna suspend it. We don't want the smoke. Okay, rekindling more uncertainty about trade policy. At the moment, the S&P was higher by 0.2. At its lower, the session S&P was 10% below its record. Major averages, fine, we've covered this on. Let's see if there's a quote here. There's clearly a tolerance for pain on the part of the administration in pursuit of trade goals that are not necessarily entirely economic in nature, said Ross Mayfield. At this point, I'm still in the camp that we're not on the doorstep of a recession, but maybe a slowdown or growth scare. Non-recession sell-offs tend to be shorter and milder than the recessionary ones. Okay, this is a good point. I just want to quickly address before we wrap this video up. So there are fears around recession, but the characteristics of a recession aren't fully playing out just yet. If market participants actually thought it was recession, you'd see the yields on the government bonds behaving differently. You'd see things like gold spiking very heavily yesterday. You'd see defensive stocks like tobacco and a few other stock categories which tend to do well in recession. You'll see those start to spike. But we didn't really see that yesterday. It was kind of like a mass sell-off yesterday, a pullback. I think that's what this chap is saying here as well, which I kind of agree with. This is acting like a pullback, like a correction territory pullback, but it's not full fear of a recession just yet. But the problem here is when you do have recessions, I know this from experience, having invested through recessions in the past, they do creep up on you, right? By the time you know and it's confirmed that it's a recession, you've pretty much bottomed out, and at that point, you're looking to start recovering. So you got to be careful with this. By the time everybody's saying, oh yeah, it's a confirmed recession, and everybody can see the 2 negative consecutive quarters of negative growth, you're kind of out of the recession. So we are getting a pullback right now. You can see that across markets. But again, I think if we see this tariff stuff start to come to a conclusion, then I think we're ready to get a V-shaped recovery. How long that's going to take, how petty these world leaders are, I can't vouch for that, right? I don't know. All I know is if we get cheap prices, I'm going to nibble because there's nothing wrong with the underlying projects that I'm holding. It's just a wider market sentiment. And those are generally the easier times to buy the dip, right? It's much harder to buy the dip if there's something wrong with the project. When it's a wider tariff issue, which is nothing wrong with Bitcoin, we still got the Bitcoin strategic reserve. Everybody's still pro Bitcoin. Everybody still wants to buy into crypto. Then that makes it easy to buy the dip. So there you have it, guys. Late in the evening here in Dubai, but bringing you the updates as and when it matters. If you like this type of content, smash all the likes. Do not forget to subscribe. If you actively want to trade with me, check out the link in the description to our Telegram community where I'm trading actively on altcoins. I share my exact levels. I've got nothing to hide. I'll show you my entry points, my stop losses, exactly how I do the trade setups. You're going to see that all there because a lot of people talk about trading. Very few people are actually trading these difficult markets. I do it. I share when I hit a stop loss. I share when I hit take profits. You see it all transparently. Check it out, links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.